I like to start my presentations with a startling statistic. So here's today's. 5 to 15% of participants actually finish a massive open online course, or more commonly called a MOOC. Of course, you're saying to yourself, of course. They're free. Nobody finishes free stuff. Well, my own experience since 2009 in teaching distance education or online courses is that 20 to 30% of university students drop out, and they have paid thousands of dollars to take that online course. So, this series of videos is going to help you look at what are the differences and similarities, and how can you maximize on those differences and similarities to make your online trainings more effective. But in this short video, we're just going to look at similarities and differences between face-to-face and online. So, the purpose of this training is online learning, what teletrainers need to know. So, 2 similarities and then a few differences. The first similarity, which is great to learn, is that online and face-to-face outcomes for learners is similar, or even in some cases slightly better. And there was a large analysis done by Means and that group out of the Department of Education in the United States. And they account these similar or even sometimes better outcomes to 3 things. One, anytime a student spends more time with the content and more time with the teacher, the outcomes are better. So lots of the online courses that had better outcomes had more time to do the same amount of work, not less time. The second one is when the course was adapted to meet the differences of online, then learners were able to do better, or at least the same. And the last one is that what we find is people who are willing to stick to online learners are a little bit more self-motivated. And anytime you have someone who's more self-motivated, you typically have good outcomes. So, the second similarity is that your purposes in both face-to-face and online are the same. What do you want your audience to know, think, or do? That hasn't changed. Do I want you to know how to set up an online party or set up an online course? Do I want you to understand the main motivators for online learners? Do I want you to invite someone to your next event? Well, all of those might be the purpose for this one, but simply the purpose for me today is for you to understand the similarities and differences between face-to-face and online. So our 2 similarities are great, right? First one is that the outcomes can be the same or even better. That's good news for online teaching, right? Or online training. The second one is that the way you've trained in the past is going to, in some ways, help you train in online. Just need to have a clear purpose. So now let's look at some of the differences. So now we're going to talk about the differences, and 3 differences are important for you to note as a teletrainer. The first is that not everyone understands technology well, and you'll have people who don't know how to turn on the computer still. You'll have people who don't have access to it. They have to go to the library or some other place. Or their technology is antiquated and it can't really do videos, and it doesn't have a webcam, all of those kinds of things. And you need to understand what kind of technology your participants have access to and how they will engage with you. So we'll talk about that in a different video. But the next difference is important to understand too, is that people believe that attention spans are getting shorter, and in particular when you're not in the same physical room, attention spans are shorter. So it's easier to get off task. I'll give you one example. We had a student who, in our synchronous meeting, his roommate kept walking back and forth behind the webcam. Apparently he thought it was his 5 minutes of fame. He even got out his golf club and started swinging it. So it's just, I don't know if it's novel or whatever, but it's easier to get off task, to worry about what you look like, something else besides what we're talking about. So that's important, that you need to understand people's attention span. And second, there's certainly a lot of practitioners out there who are saying videos need to be 5 minutes. There's absolutely no research. There's a huge study done on MOOCs, and they suggest about 5 minutes, but again, those are for people who are in free trainings. Our own experience with the data 11 to 15 minutes. So because of attention span, you want to pay attention to how long the videos are. Then the last difference is there's a need for you to create social presence, because there's a difference in social presence when you're there and when you're not there. And when you think about social presence, when I'm in the room with you and I'm training you, one, I'm more excited because there's more of you, my adrenaline gets going, and it's hard for me to sing and dance in front of a little camera. So I'm different, but you're different. I can't reach out and grab you and, take your head and my hands and say, I think you're so close. Let's turn your concept just a little here, and I think it'll all come together. So we need to look at interaction, and there's different types of interaction. You can have the participants talking to each other. You can have the participants talking to the material, or the material talking to the learner. And you can also have the participants talking to you as the expert, which is very time consuming if you have 160,000 MOOC. It's really important that the interaction is with the expert is occurring, but you have to figure out how to manage that, because it can be very time consuming. And then the last thing, and we'll talk much more in depth about interaction in another short segment, that not all interaction has the same value. So interacting about your family, about your friends is fun, and there's a lot that can happen when we create that cohesiveness. But we also have to talk about the concepts that are important for whatever it is we're training on. So, in conclusion, in online, with either free or paid attendees, the prior low rate of success requires us as trainers to consider how, when, and why we will use an online format. So here are my sources. Garrison talks about those interaction concepts. Glance is a great article on massive open online courses, and then Means is the analysis that was done on learning outcomes. Thank you.